This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter. I'm welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. Now, I couldn't find an on this day for May the 23rd, and I feel ashamed of myself because I couldn't go in my memory bank and remember anything from May 23rd. But anyway, I almost had a double shutout because I couldn't find someone with a nice birthday. Well, Buck Showalter, but I thought, there's going to be someone else. This person's birthday would have been today. Now, normally I don't do dead people on their birthday and all that. Dead people when I do a birthday thing. There are a few exceptions, but this guy, he died in March of 2021, and that is Marvelous Marvin Hagler. But, I mean, he would have been 67 today, but I might as well give him his due. I mean, the guy was a freaking icon in the boxing world. Anyway, he was a boxer, also a film actor? But anyway, he was a boxer from 73 to 87. He was undisputed champion in the middleweight division from 1980 to 1987, defeating 11 opponents, all but one by knockout. He made 12 successful defenses of the title. He has the highest knockout percentage of all middleweight champions at 78%. In fact, his middleweight championship reign of 6 years, 7 months is the second longest in the past 100 years, behind Tony Sale. Hagler actually legally changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler in 1982 while he was still active. That's weird. So he's in the Boxing Hall of Fame, obviously. They called him the fourth greatest middleweight of all time. So anyway. And one of the bigger things about Hagler is that he was only knocked down once in his entire pro career, and that was by Juan Rodon of Argentina. So anyway, he was actually came from the state of New Jersey. In fact, the riots of 1967 ruined his house in New Jersey, so they decided to go to Massachusetts and all that. Basically, he had a lot of issues because, they were in the ghetto and all that. He was an amateur champion, and then he basically was a top-ranked guy before he fought for the title. And he struggled to find high-profile opponents. Joe Frazier even told Hagler, "You have 3 strikes against you. You're black, you're southpaw, and you're good." Dick move. Sure. So basically, yeah, he wanted to fight people and all that. So Hagler got his first title shot in 1979 against the middleweight champion Vito Antiloformo in Las Vegas. People thought that Hagler had won and enough. It was actually a draw. One judge gave it to Hagler by 4 points. One judge gave it to Vito by 2 points, and one scored the fight even. So that meant a draw. Hagler was upset. He lost his chances. But a lot of people said Hagler basically had the killer instinct to knock his opponent out, but he played it too safe. Meanwhile, Vito ended up losing his belt to Alan Minter of the UK. So Minter gave Hagler a challenge. So they went to Wembley Arena. It was a nice matchup. Minter, of course, was quoted saying, "No black man's going to take my title." Minter said that black man. But, Hagler took Minter. Huge and all that. Minter had a lot of problems. His biggest problem for Minter was that he was cut prone. Basically, Minter's manager conceded defeat after the 3rd round. But there was a riot among the spectators and all that. It was terrible and all that. Lots of beer bottles were hit to him. So Hagler, after 7 years of trying, was the world middleweight champion. I remember this Hagler-Minter fight because when I was younger, I used to have VHS tapes called the most controversial moments in sports. And it was a 3-part thing with Tim McCarver as host. And I remember, I think it was the 3rd one that basically was Hagler versus Minter. And then they said the most controversial things. So anyway, Hagler was a busy world champion. He took out a couple of fighters at the Boston Garden near his hometown. So basically, that Hagler was basically a staple on HBO. That basically was the pay-per-view station of its time. Hagler would face Roberto Duran, November 1983, in one of the most anticipated matches. Duran was the first challenger to last the distance with Hagler in a world championship belt. Duran was the light middleweight champion and went up in weight to challenge for the middleweight crown. Hagler won a unanimous decision. All that. So yeah. So anyway, after a few key fights, he would face Thomas Hearns in one of the biggest fights of all time. April 15th, 1985. I was 6 days old when this happened. It was billed as the war. Round one was one of the major rounds of all time. Hearns and Hagler were just punching each other they were just punching each other hard and all that. Even though the fight only lasted 8 minutes and got stopped in round 3, it was a classic. It was named Fight of the Year by The Ring, and who would disagree with that? Hagler would face John Mugabe, who was basically an icon in African boxing, who was actually 26-0 with 26 knockouts. Mugabe was trying for the middleweight belt. Hagler, after defeating Mugabe in the 11th round, which was shocked. Shocked that Mugabe was KO'd by Hagler. So now Hagler would face Sugar Ray Leonard. The problem is Sugar Ray only fought once in 5 years during the negotiations for giving Hagler's larger share of the purse. Leonard had several conditions: a bigger ring, 10-ounce gloves instead of 8-ounce gloves, and the fight was supposed to be 12 rounds. And all that. Basically, Leonard was getting his rear end rest. April 1987, it happened. And all that. It was a good fight. So basically, it was a tight match. But Leonard was announced as the winner and new middleweight champion of the world by split decision. A lot of people were not happy with that. It was not so sure. So basically, Leonard won. It was shocking. One of the judges actually said that Leonard outpunched Hagler, outsmarted him, outboxed him. He looked great and all that. So yeah, that was controversial and all that. Leonard versus Hagler. Hagler requested a rematch, but Leonard decided to retire. Hagler would retire 14 months following the Leonard-Hagler fight. Yeah. So Hagler ended up with a 62 3-2 mark in his career. He lost to Sugar Ray Leonard by split decision, of course, for the WBC middleweight belt. He lost early career to Willie Monroe and Bobby Watts, both by decision, and he drew Fidel Antivermo, of course, as I said, and he also drew sugar ray seals. Hagler would actually move to Italy, become the star of action films, in the films Indio and Indio 2. And also Virtual Weapon. Anyway, Hagler had 5 children with his first wife, Bertha. His second wife was married in Italy. And Hagler's wife said that he died at his home March 13th in New Hampshire. His son said his father was taken to a New Hampshire hospital after experiencing chest pains and difficulty breathing. Thomas Hearns actually had an Instagram post alleging that the COVID vaccine was the cause of Hagler's thing, but he had to delete it. What an idiot by Thomas Hearns. So anyway, one of the best boxers of all time. Can't beat that. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.